What up, y'all? This is Parker Ellis. I'm 1/5 of the new hip-hop group Paper Suit, and it's a pleasure to be with you on DogStar today. So what is your earliest musical memory? Okay, so I have an older brother, and when I was about 10, I think I was in 5th grade, he burned a CD for me for Christmas, and on that CD was Atmosphere, Jurassic 5, Black Alicious, I want to say, a couple other names, but that's what I was bumping growing up in elementary school, going to school, showing my friends, hey, check this out, isn't this sick? So that was like the formative music of my childhood. And growing up in Minnesota, obviously Atmosphere is huge. Shout out Slug. It's been probably my number one musical inspiration in my life. So that's like where it really started for me. It took a long time to marinate and like, you know, see myself as potentially a real artist. But that was the beginning for sure. Putting in that burn CD and press and play. I do not happen to have that CD. It'd be worth its weight in gold to me for sure. But no, it's a lost relic of ancient times. Who are my role models? Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I already gave a quick shout out to Slug of Atmosphere. That's probably numero uno of music role models. I take a lot of inspiration from, I don't know, a ton of artists. I don't know if that's the direction this question is supposed to go, but like right now, Doechii is one of my favorite rappers in the game, and I'm taking a lot of inspiration from her. I love like the way she constructs a song and the variety of styles that she's doing. For me, one of the big like problems, I got a marketing degree. That's what I went to college for. But in music, like I'm truly not that good at marketing. What I mean is like, you should probably pick a lane and like specialize in it and have a firm style and brand that's recognizable that, you know, people are familiar with as they become fans and keep listening to you. I have a hard time like staying in that lane, right? I want to try a song like this. I want to do a different genre. I want to, you know, do a serious song, a sad song even. Maybe it's about death. And then I want to do like a clubby banger, right? And Doechii does that. I mean, she made a song with like a K-pop star that goes super hard, and she's got The Nile is a River, like great storytelling. She does everything in between. So that's one of my current inspirations and role models. I start by making whatever the hell I want. And, you know, at least I get a draft down. I get something I can listen back to. That automatically, like, I already feel fulfilled. If I've gone out, I had an idea, and I created something, and I can listen back to it for that first time, that's like the main reward for me. So that's the coolest part. There's plenty of stuff I've made where I'm like, okay, listening back, that was fun, and I shouldn't publish this. Let me just tuck that away. And that was a cool experiment, or I learned something from that, or like I got better at mixing, or, you know, whatever the case may be, or I just had fun and I created something. Some of them are already lost. You know, I didn't take care to preserve all of that, but I do have some funny stuff that I made just for fun that never made it onto a project that, yeah, I could maybe someday. I don't know if you've noticed this, but like, it does seem like unless you're already a huge megastar in music or culture, like to get an audience, you kind of have to be funny. Like everything has to be a bit. And I think that sucks. I have definitely played that game of like, oh, here's a funny, you know, I made like a cover of the Yin Yang Twins Whisper song, but it was like about cleaning my house. And that's what girls really want to hear, right? Like that was the joke. That was sort of fun, but I don't think everything should need to be a bit. And I think that like the current structure of like social media and how you get fans, how you reach new audience, like from what I can tell, the people succeeding in that are doing it by being funny. And then that means like if I want to be an artist, I have to be a comedian. And that kind of sucks. I think you can do both, for the record. I think like Mac Miller, for example, is an artist who has plenty of serious songs, but especially earlier in his career, there were a lot of just like kind of funny punchlines, like just sort of witty humor, that type of thing. So I think you can do it. I'm trying to like design a similar path, I think, where there's some stuff that occasionally I happen to be funny, and I'm not going to, hide that or whatever, because I also want to say serious stuff. But it's almost a little bit like a Trojan horse, where I may need to get in the door. I'm going to do a couple of funny things. I'm going to have a little fun along the way. And then, it's not going to be until like episode 7 where the plot twists and the audience learns that like, oh, he's got some serious stuff to talk about. Yeah. A veneer of buffoonery. That's Parker Ellis. And you got to keep watching to learn what's under the veneer. Who encouraged you to pursue music? So I met this guy who goes by the name of Stuart through a mutual friend, and he was making hip hop at the time. I actually, like, zooming way back in time, I made rap music in high school and a little bit in college. Let's see, very first one was D-Light, which was pretty corny and terrible. The next one, it was The Pale Goblin for a long time, which is what a lot of people who already know me are gonna remember. So I made music under that for a while. And Stuart, when he met me, my friend told him, hey, this guy used to make music too. It had been like 8 years since I had made an original song at this time. And Stuart was like, screw that. Who cares? Just come over. You want to make a song? Like, let's do it. Come over tomorrow. So I went to his place and we cooked up some music, and I like left that feeling super fulfilled. And it was just really awesome. He took a little chance on me just for fun. We ended up making 2 EPs together. These are both from my work with Stuart. So these are Lemon Honey Chamomile parts 1 and 2. So shout out to Stuart for, encouraging me to like give that a try again. I realized like there was that 8-year period of time where I was pretty much entirely focused on like making a career, like professionally and outside of music. And I'm glad that I like invested in that seriously, but there was a huge hole, I think, that like I didn't really realize was there until I started getting back into it. Yeah, Stuart brought me out of that, so shout out. What up, Stu? Was I nervous my first time on stage? So definitely, 100%, like physical butterflies, all of that. My one thing I noticed, not even just the first time I was on stage, but like first handful of times, my voice would just like take on this really shaky quality, like it had like run out of steam, and I like had very little left to give, which I don't know. I mean, I think it's just nerves. I think it's just getting used to it. The first time I like actually went on stage was not for rap. In fact, it was my wife's dad and his buddies have like a jam band of like old school rock and roll. It's mostly for fun, just like get together, drink a couple beers, jam out. But they do some shows. That's the 4-3-2-1 All-Stars. And they just told me, hey, if you ever want to come over, you can be our front man. And so I would go over there and hang out with, a bunch of 60-year-olds who are just absolutely shredding on guitars, and show up and try to sing along to these songs that I don't even know from like the 70s and 80s and stuff. But that was me on the stage for the first time, as being the front man. This little baby with a bunch of boomers. Yeah, it was fun. That was the first taste into getting like more creativity back in my life, but it's still different. It's very different from writing original music. And I've done little stuff here and there, like open mics and stuff like that over the years, which I wouldn't really count. The first time I had like a set list and I was doing a real live performance was with Stuart, and it was for our first EP, Lemon Honey Chamomile. And we did it in the same area that band 4-3-2-1 All-Stars uses to practice. They have like this hidden underground rock club in South Minneapolis, and it's decorated with like decades of cool trinkets and stuff that people have brought over time. So we brought a bunch of people over there, free beer, free admission. We don't want to make money. We just want you to come hang out and like listen to our music and party. That was a ton of fun. I left with zero voice, and like the performance was mediocre, but everybody had a fucking great time. I think it's different for sure. Like the vulnerability of performing an original song is definitely bigger than like, hey, everybody knows this song by the fucking Beatles or whatever. So you're not only putting your vocal performance and your like stage presence on display, you're also like, and this is original artwork. Do you even like it? I don't know. I'm like reading the audience, trying to figure out, is this hitting right? But it was thrilling. It's definitely something I would like to do more of in 2025. What is my rehearsal process? Oh man, for the very few live shows that I've done where it's like a full set of my own songs, we're talking several days of like once per day I'll go through the full set list of just make sure the blinds are shut, the door's shut, I don't want anybody perceiving me, and then play it loud, grab a little wireless microphone I have that is just a prop basically, and move, dance around, try to get loose, try to like find that, persona that needs to be on display that like matches the music and the energy and all of that. But really it's something that I've not done enough live performances. So I think like in 2025, if I'm lucky and I get out and do more shows, I'm going to need to hone in on that process and like put on a real proper show. I'm the one who's like a little bit too far on the like science side of it. Like I want to like, when I'm writing a song, I want to think about syllable count. I want to think about like internal rhyme and different rhyme schemes that I can do. So it's the same with when I'm performing. I want to like have packed in there various moments that I know are going to hit and that I can like almost choreograph. I think that for me, I err a lot less on the side of like freestyle and just let it, whatever's going to happen. That's not me. If you're good at that, congratulations. That's an amazing skill to have. I don't have that skill. I practice, I learn, I try a bunch of new stuff and then eventually see what happens. How do I make a song? So nowadays, as 1/5 of Paper Suit, if I want to make a song, it's a weird collaborative process. It'll often start with, let's say I'm the first person to start. If I find, I have a few producers that I like to work with for beats. If I find a great beat and it inspires me, I'll lay down maybe a chorus, have a loose concept of what like the theme of the song should be, get a chorus, demo that thing out, send it to this group. And this is 5 people interacting online who, were strangers a handful of months ago. So we are really, it's like Paper Suit operates like a collage. So we are cutting and pasting these different artists' contributions onto this same piece of art and trying to make that one cohesive, like striking work of art. I'm based in Minnesota, but these 4 other artists in Paper Suit are based all around the country, and it's kind of a group of strangers. And so for us to collaborate online, it's difficult and we need to be creative. And I think that a lot of people, when they first hear that, they think of that as a weakness. Okay, you're not all in the same room together. How is this ever going to work? How do you even make a song? How would you ever do a live show? Like, what is the ceiling for this group automatically capped, like way lower just because you're not all in the same state? I don't think so. I mean, it's both the strength and a weakness. The strength being, we've basically got 5 hometowns and people can maintain their sort of like way of life or whatever they need to do outside of their creative aspect. And then they can funnel all of that creative energy into this group. For better or for worse, we live in a digital world, and that makes this type of thing possible where I can make a demo one afternoon, send it out to this group, and then the next morning I get a demo back with verse 1 completed. And everybody's, in the chat, oh, what the fuck, this is amazing. And then somebody else hops on the 3rd verse and, sends it back the next day. And we have been following that process now. I mean, we really started this I think we started like behind the scenes in October. We're already sitting on a pile of like 20 songs that are done or very near done and just need some engineering. So we get to be really calculated with how we want to roll it out. We've got, 5 people who can pool their financial resources together, who can pool their skill sets together and really like attempt to build a brand around Paper Suit, around the group, while also like lifting up the individuals and letting them, be themselves and thrive where they are and how they are. How do you sequence a project? How is the new EP? Great question. So when I made Gesture of Goodwill, which is my first album as a solo artist, I it was kind of a similar thing where I put together a huge stack of songs and I said, which one of these makes sense in a project and what is the theme and how should this unfold? For me, Gesture of Goodwill was actually similar to what we were talking about earlier. I have a hard time picking a lane, staying in that. And Gesture of Goodwill was kind of just deliberately embracing that and saying, these songs are going to be kind of all over the place. Like, I'm an entertainer, I'm a jester, right? Like, I'm putting on this show. This is who I am, but here are all these different versions of me in this project. So the order of the songs, became a little bit less important than it might in a typical album because it was intentionally supposed to jump around and make you feel a bunch of different and unrelated stuff as you listen. From top to back, I'm proud of that album. I think everybody should go listen to it if you haven't yet. You'll listen to like a Spanish-speaking rapper, whose lyrics were so dirty that she actually wouldn't let me use her real artist name in the Spotify release. You'll hear that, and then, later you'll hear a song that's about, the entire thing, top to bottom, is a metaphor about how I kind of disassociated and went inward during my battle with brain cancer and the sort of like emotional vacuum that created and that I've had to try to climb out of. So you get all of that in one project in Gesture of Goodwill. Personally, I'm an album guy. I like to be able to press play and listen to the full thing. And I know that like the attention span is so low these days that not everybody consumes music in that way. And I know that from a brand building perspective, like singles have a lot to offer. You have more releases. That's more opportunities to do promo. You can be consistent. I think the algorithm likes it, to be honest. So I have nothing against releasing singles, but I also, if it's me as an artist, I want them to be part of a project. Like, I'm not doing singles just as a single and they never exist in the context of a project. So with Paper Suit, everything that we're dropping, all of that is building into one bigger project that'll be coming out in toward the end of the year. What's an area of your artistry that you want to improve in? So I have a lot of areas I want to improve in. I'm like very, a little bit critical and want to like make some forward steps. One thing that I want to improve on is like the audio engineering, like the mixing and mastering. Actually, this is kind of like a little meet cute of how one of the members of Paper Suit joined. I had a chunk of money and I was thinking, do I want to try to get a feature from this one artist who I was kind of interested in? And one of the other members of the group encouraged me to just invest that in myself. And so I took that same amount of money, went out and found a tutor for like one-on-one tutoring on how to get better at mixing, mastering, vocal production, stuff like that. And so I found Evoke, and I'm bringing them the music that this group is creating. And I'm saying, help me learn how to mix and master this. And a couple weeks in, they're like, yo, this is dope. Can I be part of this? And so the tutor that's helping me get better is all of a sudden joining the group. And it's been an absolutely huge game changer. They're a rapper and singer as well, producer, and then literally a professional educator of how to mix and master a song and do vocal production. So we get to benefit from all of that, original beats, their contributions, to the verses and choruses, and then giving us at the end of this like a radio quality song that otherwise you'd have to pay a ton of money to have have somebody else not in-house do that. I've been lucky many times in life. That was one of those times. Is there a time of day or night when creativity strikes? For sure, it's mornings for me. So I actually don't really like waking up in the mornings. I'm not one of those, weird people who are like, oh, I love getting up early or whatever. But I think that that's the only time of day that you can have full control of. And so I try to like make the most of that. Really what I mean is if you work a 9-to-5 type of job, you might think that you're going to get off work around 5. Maybe you're going to go work out at that time, but good luck because, oh no, this project had to get pushed up in the schedule and now I'm stuck working until 7, or, oh, I missed the bus, or, you kind of lose control. Life happens throughout the course of the day, but if you're up before life is happening to you, it's just you and whatever you decide to surround yourself with. If I want to maximize creativity, it needs to be in the morning, and I need a big chunk of time. Like, I've learned that if I had like a spare 30 minutes or 45 minutes or something, it's fucking worthless. I can't get any serious good work done creatively unless it's a real chunk of time where I'm not distracted by a bunch of other stuff and I can like really sit in the creative endeavor and let it play out. I don't think there's that many rappers who are like, I wake up at 6 a.m. and I go downstairs and I like pour the coffee and I write raps. What inspires me? I'm inspired by like life, like being alive. I think that is statistically right next to impossible, that like you or I would be alive right now. How did that happen? I have no idea. That inspires me, and nature and like planet Earth, I think, are the big things that really like speak to me, like something bigger than me and then the little day-to-day minutia of my life. Like looking around and just wondering, how did all this happen? How did I get so lucky? Like how did we get blessed? Like what's up with all this water and greenery and, you know, the lakes here and being in the woods? Like that type of stuff to me speaks to me in a big way and inspires me generally and like keeps my spirit up, I think. What's your advice to the next generation of artists? I think my number one piece of advice would be to try stuff and to get to the point where you're almost too uncomfortable to even try it repeatedly. So that, I think, is where you learn the most, where you end up getting the most creative, is you're taking on a project or you're doing a show or you're doing whatever, and you got just about to the point where you're like, I can't do this. I'm throwing in the towel. But you didn't quite get there. You're just inside of that. And that, I think, is where you're like really learning and being challenged. And even if that particular endeavor flops, you still just gained a ton from that, and you're going to go apply that to the next thing. So even when you then are more inside of your comfort zone, you bring that stuff that you learned from the brink, right up on the edge of what you could possibly get yourself to do. Where can fans follow me? So you can check me out anywhere at Parker Ellis Music. And I am 1/5 of the brand new hip hop group Paper Suit. You can find us at papersuit.mp3. So if you want to hear more music from me, first and foremost, I suggest you go check out Jester of Goodwill. That's my debut album. It's out right now. And if you want to hear something brand new, you should stream Lights, Camera, Action by Paper Suit. That is part of the very first drop from Paper Suit. And we've got monthly singles and a big, big surprise toward the end of the year for you to keep your eyes on. So Paper Suit is a rap collage, and I'm 1/5 of that. But if you want to check out the other artists who are part of Paper Suit, that's Scanlon, Timmy T, Lucky Luch, and Evoke. You can follow all of us at papersuit.mp3. This is Parker Ellis. Hey, thank you for coming along this journey with me, for checking out this DogStar interview. We'll see you next time. If you liked this interview, you know what you got to do? You got to check out all of the DogStar interviews. These guys are world class, and there's dozens of them for you to go check out right now.